So the January transfer window, it's over. The dust is settling now. So we're going to review what's happened in this month, the stories of the month, who's won it, the best signing of it all, and is it just generally pointless?
Can we talk about Watford's performance against Arsenal?
I'm sure you can crowbar it in at some stage.
I just love the fact how knackered we all look. We all just look absolutely like, we have to do
But we
this.
stayed up late for Arsenal Fan TV, Ped.
I know we did. We did.
It was half 2 by the time we finished watching every video he put out.
Every video.
We waited for Ty's video.
I got into bed thinking, I'm going to enjoy this, and then I was gone, so I missed it. I watched it on the bus this morning.
Oh. Right. We checked Twitter one last time before we went to bed, and there was Ty's video. I was like, yeah, we're putting this one on as well. Like,
we were all like asleep in the dark, and you just heard, yeah, it was the rain. It was the rain.
actually blamed the rain. And Robbie was like, both teams played in the rain, you know. And he's like, oh, you can't tell how it affects teams.
Difficult. Yeah, it was more on one side. Or was he saying that the rain was going at them one way?
And then it changed direction halfway
right,
around, apparently.
Yeah. Difficult. Okay.
I'm surprised he knew with his hood up.
True, yeah. His hat's on his earphones in.
It's flash.
Sippy cup.
We've also got some questions actually from you guys as well, which we'll answer a little bit later on. If you ever want to send us some questions for Social Club, we do it before every show on Twitter at Ball Street, so go check that out each week.
Do it.
Who won the window? Ped.
I think Everton had a very good window, but ultimately we won't know till the end of the season. Certainly.
Should we do this video then?
Well, we will, but
While we're here,
they'll forget, and we'll do it again. No, but I think there's a general theme. I'm sure you'll come on to it about how the window went for the Premier League. I think the likes of us, we brought in quality over quantity. I don't think we need to. We were trying to get rid of the dross and bring better people in. And I don't think you can bring quality in over a short period. It has to be a little bit more long term.
Yeah, I think often it's the kind of go-to thing for football fans to think that buying lots of players is a successful transfer window, and categorically I can say that selling one player in Gareth Bale and buying 7 players
does not
work, and it doesn't help. And
we've been there as well, mate. Exactly the same when we sold Suarez.
It
doesn't work.
It doesn't work because there's a massive upheaval. It takes a long time for these new personalities to be bedded into the culture of the football club, and that can be damaging. Essentially, Everton bought Schneiderlin, who was a great signing, had a bad time at Man United, probably more to Man United's management of him rather than his ability as a footballer. It was fantastic in Southampton, has been good for Everton so far. I'd have to agree that Everton had the best window too.
Really? So I'm going to disagree with kind of everything that's just been said.
Fine.
Because maybe getting off the fence as well, was Ped was firmly on it there. I think
that's more just tiredness.
Is it right? I think Hull. I believe that they've actually given themselves a chance now. Now, hear me out. The reason for this is, yes, they've lost Snodgrass, very, very good player. Yes, they've lost Livermore. But Hull City is different to most clubs in the Premier League because they did need numbers. They have nothing coming off the bench. They had no attacking threat apart from Snodgrass.
This is a reaction to poor summer window.
Yeah, that's
a
not
lot of these
that's
teams
not the
like
question,
Everton are adding on to things, aren't they? Whereas Hull left themselves in such dire straits that they absolutely had to do something.
Have you just compared Hull to Everton?
No, I said Everton are adding on to it because use a well-built squad. You know, Koeman's had a look at the players, know what he needs. Hull had such a terrible summer window.
No, I agree with that. But if you go at the start of January, right, Hull were your definites to go down, right? Because they didn't have those numbers. And any team that's trying to stop Hull, you stop Snodgrass, you stop Hull. Now, yes, I'm not saying these guys have got the same amount of quality, but they bought attacking players who can ask questions, and I think that could give them a chance of getting out the bottom 3. They've
got nothing to lose, Hull. That's the difference. They've got nothing to lose, and also they've got a new manager, and he wants his own players in there. He's got rid of a couple of players that are not his players. Okay, Snodgrass has played quite well, but he's not his player. He hasn't got any kind of relationship with them. So now he's brought in his own players. So it might work. If it doesn't work, no one will say
it's very much hit or miss with that transfer window for me and Hull.
They've gambled but they had to.
Yeah.
And for that, for the work they put in, they got bodies in. They needed that to happen. For Hull's position, they've done their best to remedy the problems that they had at the football club. So in that respect, it was a good window. But you don't know until they start playing. The defender, forgive me, I'm going to butcher this.
Ranocchia.
Ranocchia, is it?
Ranocchia, sorry, all right.
Is it sounds quite nice because he's an Italian. He's kind of, you know,
Inter
Milan, and he was up with other clubs, and he did have a good reputation a couple of years ago, but since fallen off. I asked this guy who I know who's heavily into Italian football, and I asked to compare him to Fazio because Federico Fazio, because I've seen him play and I know him, right? And he said he's not as good as Fazio, and Fazio was wank. So, I mean, I know that's not scientific,
but also often you're judging players at Spurs' level.
Yeah.
All they need to do is finish 17th.
Fazio would have got Hull relegated, 100%. He's that
on his own.
On his own.
Oh, well. I don't think Hull actually have the worst defence. The problem they've had is scoring goals, and that's what they've done.
But their goal scorer they've just got rid of.
What, Snodgrass?
Yeah.
So the problem is
because they have no forwards.
The players
have forwards. He was the only guy who was scoring goals, and they were penalties and they were free kicks.
Yeah, a lot of them were set pieces.
But you are taking what was guaranteed goals and replacing that with something that you can't guarantee. You know, Snodgrass is a good player. He will get goals. He will get assists. He can make a difference from free kicks. And you are taking a risk. Ultimately, I think that's what it boils down to.
Risk, yeah.
Are you trying to say Nias isn't guaranteed goals?
I am, exactly.
I mean, you guarantee to get your post to you by 9 a.m. No issues about that. but what they have done is that by bringing him in and Markovic.
I get it. What? He's a postman.
He's not a footballer.
He's not a footballer, let's be honest. By bringing
a lorry driver
by bringing Markovic in.
No, he works for Amazon.
Lost his license overnight.
Allegedly.
They have brought tackling options in, haven't they? So he's going to set them up in a way now. Maybe that's the key. Maybe it's not the players, not the names. It's the fact that he's got players to play in his system, and that's what this manager.
This is going to take time, isn't it? This is what they don't have, unfortunately. You know, you bring in players in the January transfer window, and sometimes a lot of them do take time to settle in. Different leagues.
But sometimes when you're in that kind of situation, though, just a refresher of a load of players can also.
It could go either way, but I would put money on it going in the bad way.
The club's a mess anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think their website's still hullcitytigers.com. It didn't happen, mate. Leave it alone. It just didn't happen.
Well, it is a nightmare changing URLs though, so I understand that. Watford did it though. They brought in huge amounts of players, massive acquisition when they first came into the league, and they looked in danger of
what's that, 24 different nationalities or something.
Yeah, an absolute madness, and it kind of worked. They're still in the Premier League. They've consolidated somehow, are still in the Premier League, but generally, this attitude and mass acquisition doesn't work. It could for Hull because there are no certainties.
I'm not sure it'll keep them up, but I feel like that's given them a better chance than they had before.
Yeah, I can agree with that because I don't think they had a chance.
You went Everton, didn't you, Ped? Chris, West Ham?
Yeah, I think it's between Everton and West Ham. West Ham have signed two good players in Fonte and Snodgrass as well. But I think they've also galvanised the fan base by getting rid of the Payet and stuff. And they've had so much stuff going on outside of football with regards to the ground, with the Payet stuff going on, that the fans were quite fractured, and it seems to have brought them together now, and they've got something that they can focus on and fight for and fight towards. And that's why, I think if you were to just look at the players, I think Everton win it. But if you look at what's going on around the club because of the Payet stuff as well, I think they're buoyed by the transfer window more than any other team, and that'll have a bigger and positive effect on the side. I think West Ham's
problem was they were trying to buy all these fancy players from the continent and building this thing around Payet, and they forgot who they actually are. They are not this massive football club, even if they want to try and pretend they are. They're not. Okay, they've got this big shiny stadium, big white elephant, but what they are is just a very traditional British football club, and by bringing in players like Fonte and bringing Snodgrass, they've gone back to what the formula that used to work for them.
Do you think they got a bit overexcited of the potential of being a big club? Because there's a road you've got to go down get there.
No, there isn't a road. West Ham will never be a big club. I'm sorry to break the heart of West Ham fans, but they'll never be a big club.
Could people say the same about Everton?
No, because we are a big club.
Why are you a big club?
Because we've got the trophies to back it up. That's the difference. We've done it and been there and seen it.
This is another social club.
I know it is.
But it's true though. We are. No matter what anyone says, we are. We've got the trophy.
Currently.
Well, at the moment.
But in terms of potential, I think West Ham, they've got a big stadium.
There's nothing wrong with West Ham striving to be better. But
of course, but you've got to do it in the right way. And what they did is when they tried to buy
I agree with that.
People, like you said before about Hull, buying people with fancy names. literally, that's basically what they did. They just went, "Hey, he's got a fancy name." He's got a fancy name. He played in the Euros, and it's a penalty over the bar, 100 miles, and there's my phone or whatever. And it's just that they've gone back to the roots, and that will help them. And as Chris said, it will help the fans to understand where they're going, because beforehand it just seemed.
Two very, very solid buys in those two.
Solid buys, and that will keep them. That'll, they're not going to have to worry about West Ham going down. Is Fonte and Snodgrass going to put them where they aim to be one day? No, but if in terms of consolidating their place in the Premier League, they're probably good buys.
I think in terms of that gap that we're talking about of them being 7th regularly or something like that, those kind of players are quite good for that gap. Yeah, they 8 million probably is a lot for a 33-year-old, but he's good. The problem, and Snodgrass, I really rate.
The problem is it is players like Payet. It's those mercurial players that will get you into that. Well, give you the best chance to get into that top 6. They had to get rid of Payet because he became poisonous. They've got a great coach in Bilic. Their current playing squad is nowhere near good enough, though.
Here's the thing with them. If anyone played the N64 ever, right? Mario Kart. Rainbow Road, that first big dip, and you can jump off and cut half the corner of half the map. That's what West Ham have tried to do to become a big club. But you know what? So often that's a really hard shortcut to take, and you fall off the other side. This is exactly what West Ham have done. And what Southampton do is they've got a really fast car, and they'll get there quicker, and they're building properly.
But then
but West Ham didn't want to take that long road to success. They've tried to take a shortcut and it's not quite worked out. But you can't blame them for trying it, because people try shortcuts all the time.
But they've done it in every way, though, haven't they? With the stadium and with changing the badge and putting London on it, and they've tried to you just tried to cut right across it. That doesn't work in football. You have to build things in football. And
so would you wouldn't? Sorry, now we're going down on a tangent, but so you wouldn't have taken that stadium if it's offered to you?
No, it's a dump.
Well, Spurs could have if we really wanted. We could have taken that stadium.
Well, you're both battling for
it. We battled for it, but our proviso was that we were going to tear out the running trip and raise the stadium to the ground and build a new one. Yeah. And they were just like, nah, you ain't doing that.
It's a dump.
West Ham.
I'm sorry, it's a dump.
That's not the question I'm asking. If you're in that mode in time and you've got an opportunity to go to 60,000,
because it's short term. It's a short term solution.
It's really easy to say.
It's non-football people making football decisions.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody had understood West Ham's tradition as a football club, you don't move into that stadium. But again, I can't fault them for trying. Yeah. Because you've got to strive to be better. But they are. It was a terrible decision.
It's a short-term, long-term decision.
But you only know after you've made that decision. Yeah, sometimes making no decision at all is the wrong decision.
In business sense, it was a good decision. They're selling the tickets, they're making money. It was a terrible decision football-y, but they're business people, they're not football people.
Football-y. Brilliant word.
Football league.
Footballer-y. I don't know what you were trying to go for.
No, you said football league.
You tried to mug me off in front of all my pals out there.
Yeah. Signing of the window. One I thought was, it's not that exciting, but 60 million for Oscar. Right at the start of the window.
Who did he go to, James?
I don't class this as
a signing.
He went to China.
He just went to China, just to the whole place.
He went there. They picked him up and they.
So I just don't class that as a signing. I'm sorry, I don't. It's not within the boundaries of everything else that goes on.
But I just think it's interesting in terms of there's another avenue for Premier League clubs to make ridiculous amounts of money. 60 million on a player that they didn't want at all. That's all.
There is that.
That's all I'm saying.
There is in terms they can make money off squad players who go into China. They can. But if you look at Arsenal's situation with Sanchez, there's an offer come in 450,000. He's going to then turn to Arsenal. Well, I've been offered this. I think you should up my wages by 50 grand because I can just easily take this much bigger offer. So I would say that the clubs would probably, given the amount of money they're getting from TV revenue, would rather not have the issue with China. But that's
an interesting point of view.
I think China's short term.
Yeah, it's short term. But the Chelsea's 60 million for Oscar is insane business for Chelsea.
They've had a touch there, haven't they?
I mean, not only are they fucking winning the league, they've got one of the best managers in his first season sussed out English football. Not only do they have any money to buy any player they want, no matter how unbearable their fans are, they get everything they want. And they get 60 million for a player who can't even get into their first team.
Exactly.
I don't think God exists. That's proof.
Gabriel Jesus. Oh, nice. Is he a decent signing?
Perfect segue.
It's terrible on crosses and all that.
That was it. Okay, moving on. You're signing in the window.
We didn't buy anyone.
No, who is generally your signing in the window? Do you remember when we had the chat before and you picked one and it's written down there?
Sorry, it's just when you say you, I think of Tottenham because it's in my blood. Niang.
Why?
Because I watched him play 80 minutes of football last night and he was the bollocks. I was like, no, I mean, look.
Who were they playing?
Some tin pot club from South London, but they got a good result. He made his debut against Arsenal. They'd lost to Garlo, and I've got to be honest, I hadn't heard much about him before he signed, but he got to have something to end up at AC Milan. So there's that, and he just looked good last. And then I just think, in my gut, that's who I feel. Niang.
If you're a Watford fan with a Garlo
great performance.
You've got Dean. He's he's a great forward, but to have someone else with him, you're hoping Niang does well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to profess to know a great deal about him, but I spoke to Kristen Hennage, who was on the live show with us yesterday, and
What did he say?
He said that he has the potential to be quality, but his patches in form are alarming. So
his goal ratio is not that great.
No, but it wasn't so much that. It was just his touches and the class he had to go past players. You looked at it and you think he's definitely got something. He has it in his locker to be able to do that. If he does it every week, then Watford have got a hell of a player. You probably won't know.
No.
Is that partly the thing of like when you're desperate for a team to do well against another team? When you see them do something good, that means they're great.
Yeah, but he was doing things you don't see most Premier League players do week in, week out.
Okay.
Some
I didn't see the game, obviously.
In the rain as well.
In the rain.
With the rain. Absolutely.
Schneiderlin for me, James.
Schneiderlin, yeah.
I like Schneiderlin at Everton. I think he's a good player. He didn't have the rub of the green at Manchester United, did he? And you know what? I think he'll be put into this Everton side in a good way now. Koeman seems to be moving them in the right direction. He'll be quality and he'll work very, very quickly for them.
Okay, I'm just going to get the questions up, sorry.
Or Sacco at Crystal Palace is a good signing as well.
That is a good signing.
We didn't actually talk about Palace's window quickly while you're doing
Yeah,
that.
go for it.
They've done a good job because the defence was woeful. Bearing in mind they've been the team least in form in all of England. So they had major problems. They brought in Allardyce, which is a good thing for Palace fans in terms of staying up but not watching football. And Van Aanholt, very exciting attacking left side defender, and Sacco,
Schlupp.
They bought Schlupp as well.
Schlupp from Leicester.
Which must be said like
So
that.
they had a good window.
What they did is they brought players in to essentially just whip the ball in for Benteke and a big strong defender. And that's essentially it, isn't it? They've brought players in to do one thing and it'll work.
But you look at their squad, and they didn't need much more than that. They need organisation and they need the right bodies in, and it seems to have done that.
I have to get rid of that fucking drummer.
Let's answer a couple of questions you guys have sent in. One to you, Chris. Matt Wallace at Sneaky LFC. He's basically saying he's disappointed not to sign anyone. Is our squad good enough to secure top 4?
It is good enough, yeah. I'm disappointed that we didn't go out there and sign someone who could affect our football team for the next 5 years. But I don't believe that you should rush into signing players. I think we've seen over the years Liverpool have messed up far too many transfers. One of them went out on loan this week. Lazar Markovic comes back in, goes straight back out on loan. Didn't do anything in Portugal. Goes straight back on loan to a Premier League club. It was Hull this time, wasn't it, or something like that? Yeah. And you're looking at it and you think, well, that was a £20 million player, and he didn't succeed in Portugal. He didn't succeed in the Premier League with us, and now he's on loan at Hull. Far too often have we spent money on players that aren't long-term solutions for our football club. And look, the rumours are that we're looking at Julian Brandt for a summer bid. That's the type of player that can actually come in and do something over a sustained period of time. And Liverpool fans want Jurgen Klopp's success at Dortmund, but they don't want the road that he travelled down. And this is a problem with football fans in general, for me, to be honest with you.
What do you mean by the road?
Well, he had 2 years of 5th and 6th and 7th, before he finished first. 2 years on the bounce, and it's a gradual building thing with Klopp. He signed a long-term deal at the club. He knows where he wants to take Liverpool. This is Klopp's first full season. And the people calling him a fraud and telling him to get out. He took us to 2 cup finals with a side that wasn't his last year. We've had a disappointing January, but you've got to keep the faith in players and managers. And look, you can go out there, and we talked about it with the relegation sides. It's much the same as the top 6, to be honest with you. You can go out there like a Chelsea and Man City and Man United and spend loads of money. Liverpool commercially have fallen behind over the last 25 years. We can't do that. We're trying another route to it. We're trying to bring in young players. We're trying to develop them. We're trying to get the right players. We've changed our under-23 setup. We're now buying quality over quantity, and that goes down all the way to like 14 and 15-year-olds. We're not going to get groups of 60 lads in anymore. We're going to get groups of 15, 20 lads and really train these players up. And this is something that, you know, historically, when be it a club or be it a country do this, you have success. Look at Germany's model. 10 years they changed their model before they won the World Cup. Success isn't instantaneous, and we as football fans need to remember that at all times.
Two questions which I think kind of link into each other. So John Bright at John Deggs, he's saying, is the January window always better for smaller clubs who can fix issues? And then Finn LFC, he said, what top 6 teams did you think should have done business? I think you've got some thoughts on it.
Well, I think you've seen from the league, the top 6 haven't done anything, have they, really? Man City brought in a player that they signed in the summer and couldn't bring him in till now. No one else did anything, so they're pretty secure that they know it's the top. They're all in the top 6, they think they are. And it's just a fight between the squads they've got. And as Chris just said, it's very hard to bring in that kind of quality. Then just below them, there's the likes of us, the likes of Stoke, who have gone for trying to get the finishing touches of their current squad. So it's quality over quantity. 1, 2, 3.
And just trying to bridge the gap a little bit as well.
It's just trying to bridge that gap, because I think what you've got to do in the Premier League, you have to get to a certain stage, and then you have to sort of completely go again. Like our squad at the moment wouldn't get top 4, but it might get top 6, and then if we want to get top 4 from we're going to have to try and get a rehash on some of the players that may only be at Everton for the last year or so. And then if you go past that, then it is just a mad scramble. Hull are just recycling players like mad. Palace have brought players in. Swansea, I think, have had quite a good window as well. They've brought in. Then you're looking at your 4, 5 and 6. There is a desperation then of taking risks. But you can take risks because the money in the Premier League means that you can go out there and spend a hell of a lot of money, knowing that if you stay up, you will be massively rewarded again.
Is it not a smart gamble, though, for a top 6 team who are in a good position come January to go for it? Is it better to go for it then?
What does that mean? Give us an example.
So to go and
how much? When you're saying a gamble, you're talking about spending vast amounts of money. It's Spurs. Like I said, it's Spurs.
So Dimitri Payet, for example, in January, going and getting him, Aubameyang, going and Man City, going, look, we need someone.
They don't need Aubameyang.
We're in this position.
This is the thing.
They want him though. They could have got him if they wanted him.
Yeah, they could have done, but they need 2 fullbacks. I'm surprised they didn't. I'm surprised that they didn't go out and try and do that. I think that was one of the biggest shocks. They have all the money they can spend. He could have spent 100 million fixing that problem. He could have come to Tottenham and said, "Here's 150 million for your 2 fullbacks." They may have went. So I mean, for whatever it is, and we will never understand. We can only speculate as fans. The clubs at the top know why they don't sign players and never do. So
and is that always going to be the way?
How much more you have to spend on these players, and they're not worth the money.
Because I think there's a lot of sense in what you're saying. Is the kind of you turn the Premier League almost upside down, and that's your desperation table.
Yeah.
And or you go by who you buy. So does that mean that the January transfer window is absolutely pointless for the top 6?
No. All it means is... Sorry.
Is anyone ever going to go and make a big buy in January?
Yes, if they genuinely believe that they can make a long-term difference to the club, there's not going to be risks taken, I don't think. That's different.
I think it's where you are as well. 12 months ago, I remember saying to Robbie on the transfer deadline that I was amazed that Arsenal won't go out and get someone. Because I think 12 months ago, if Arsenal got a striker, they would have won the league. Honest, genuinely believe that they would have won the league last season if they'd gone and spent 60 million on a Benzema or someone like that. They could have. I don't think that would make a difference this season, but last season it was wide open at this time last year. 3 or 4
I think they
clubs.
thought they could win the league anyway. That's the difference.
Can I just say one thing
right.
is you see more deals done at the bottom of the table because their problems are easier to fix by average, in inverted commas, players. So Crystal Palace can fix their problems by bringing in Van Aanholt and Sacco. That isn't going to help someone that's not going to help Everton try and push into the top 4, but it's going to help Palace stay up. So that's why you see.
And that's also short term thinking, isn't it? Like very much what Allardyce is good at. He's thinking about the next 4 months, keeping Crystal Palace. He's not thinking like, how is this going to help us this season, next season, the season after, develop a squad or a team that's going to go on and win things. He's thinking about the next 4 months, keeping Crystal. that's an easier job in terms than
It's the priority, isn't it?
you know going forward over a long term, which is what like the Klopp are trying to do.
And then final thing to close off this transfer window. I mean, I don't think it's been a legendary one, but what would you say would be the lasting memory of the January transfer window?
It was a stat that someone told me this morning, and it's nothing to do with England. It was something
Christian Energy, was it?
Spain. Is it in Spain? Someone told me they spent a total of £16 million in the transfer window.
All of Spain.
Yeah, it's like 19 million in the Liga.
Yeah,
19 million.
19 million. So perhaps
Same as Burnley, right? Burnley spent more. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of that shows you something about the attitude towards the January transfer window over there, and perhaps a shift in mentality that let's train what we've got, let's develop ideas within, let's not be so reactionary is a more healthy way to look at it. I'm not saying it is the right way, but a little shift in let's just buy players to fix every fucking problem under the sun isn't necessarily the right way to go.
The one thing I think I'll remember this January for is player power and players. You had Costa with all the temptations of China. Payet saying he didn't want it, going on strike and all those things. I think us as football fans are kind of further along that road of understanding that a player just wants to move and that's just the way it is and that's how it goes. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the clubs have got it back for a while, and to be fair, I think the clubs have still hold a lot of power. Payet was just a very unique thing. If he'd gone anywhere else other than Marseille, I think people would have a lot more to say about it. But the fact that he just went back to Marseille, I think people are a bit like, well, obviously he just didn't. His wife didn't settle or whatever.
He wanted to go home.
Yeah, he just wanted to go home. Do you know what I mean? And he was at West Ham. Come on.
The thing with the West Ham thing for me is I actually backed Payet up on a lot of it.
You back Cock?
No, I went to say Costa. Thankfully, I stopped myself
How did
short.
you get from Costa to Koch?
I didn't, you did. I
nothing wrong
was
with
talking about Payet, right, lads? Yeah? And the West Ham thing, yeah? Okay, so the Payet thing, he signed a long-term deal with West Ham in the summer, but it's not the same club now that he signed that deal for. And I think if you went to work every single day as a salesman and you signed a nice little fat pay rise and you got that sorted and it's all good, and then the business is basically changed overnight, but you're still the top salesman, you're still getting your little bonuses. Why can't you look abroad and go look at another job and go, actually that might be better for me and my family right now, because this isn't the same business that I was working for only 6 months ago. And the Payet thing for me is I go, absolutely fine, it's not the same club, they're in turmoil, they're not doing very well, he's at the end of his career, he wants to go back home. If that happened to us in our jobs, we'd just move and no one would talk about it.
Like Tories.
And that's fine as well, Ped. In fact, it's encouraged.
You've got to get Tory into every video. Political agenda. Right, I think that'll do, won't it?
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like. Let us know what you think about all the different topics we've been talking about. What do you feel about Payet? What do you think
Mario
about
Kart 64.
Mario Kart? Is that the greatest analogy ever said on Social Club? If you want to watch the stream and catch up, you've got DT's reaction to that Arsenal defeat, which, and more importantly, not just the reaction, it's Flav's face when it comes off the reaction. That is definitely worth checking out. So that'll probably come up on the screen now as well.
Pizzagate as well. There was a couple of Pizzagates. What do you think about that, Flav?
What happened is
Explain Pizzagate.
Done you up there,
I was
big
expecting
time.
to go back on, and I had pizza, half-eaten
yeah,
pizza.
yeah.
The only place it was going to go was in my mouth.
Good.
It's a rule of my life generally.
General,
Just put things in your
yeah.
mouth, it works out. And then I just.
Is that on the Constitution?
But it was the fact that we went in and you were thinking, James is going to back me up, he's going to throw a question over there. What do you think about that, Flav?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Lots
And
of good
Louis as
moments.
well. Did you know about the Louis one?
Yeah, so you got Louis with
Eating pizza. So he didn't
So, yeah,
know,
go.
no one knew about this. This is just us messing around behind. We see Louis on there. We go, hurry up, get that pizza eaten. He folds an entire piece of pizza, just shoves it in his mouth. You're talking and we just cut to him for 30 seconds trying to A, breathe and B, chew. It was totally the best thing about transfer deadline.
He struggles with the first one at the best of times as well. So
Brilliant.
Also the reactions to all the goals as well, because it was a watch along as well. So go check out the stream. Go check out who we think might be the greatest goalkeeper of the Premier League era. Ped and Robbie have a little argument on that one, so that's going to come out on Friday, so don't miss that. Talking Balls comes out tomorrow, and Social Club will be back next Monday. Make sure you watch all of those and subscribe to Ball Street.